to finally say my one and only critique.
Okay, go for it.
Which is related to that. Because for me, I felt like I did buy her becoming an enforcer. She's been a good episode wrestling with that. And I think we were already kind of moving in that direction in season 1 when we saw her join up with what's his name? Not Victor, the other guy. Jace, thank you. Where she was, getting the gear, and she was kind of at that point she was kind of going, because she was having the shift of like she was still on Zon's side, but there's the people ruling Zon are the problem, right? And then for her to then get to the point where it's like, my sister is a villain and a threat, and needs to be stopped. And then kind of like what Heath was saying, like she's, her goals are aligned with them. She's already been kind of like easing in this direction, like kind of getting more inundated, like goal wise. But she's still very, conflicted about it. And so I think she makes this move reluctantly, and I think she feels a lot of guilt about it. That's what I get. But especially like when she sees that second attack in episode 1, I think that's the moment that it flips for her, right? She's like, okay, I should help my girlfriend or whatever. I should help her and just be fully aligned and commit. But what I didn't buy, well, it's not that I didn't buy it. It was that I felt I was missing a step. Was for her to go, so turning against, joining the enforcers, turning against her sister. I bought all that. But to go to the extra step of being okay with her sister dying, as opposed to just wanting to apprehend her, that was one where I felt like I was missing something. I understood Jinx going to that level completely when Jinx, because we see there's a moment where she, sees that Vi in episode 2. She sees that Vi is hunting her down. She's really hurt by that. You see her cry, and then afterwards, what was it that I always forget the characters' names. The one that's with her all the time now. Savika's like, what's that look in your eyes? And she says, thinking about finishing my family. Like, I understood her rage in that moment. She feels completely betrayed. She already feels that way. She's already just on the tiniest thread of she's already feels like her sister has hurt her and is not on her side and all this stuff. And there was this attempt at the end of season 2 to reconnect, and that's already been destroyed. So for her to go to that next level of now she's hunting her down, now she's with the enemy, like she's like, all right, fuck you, so she's like, so I could understand that Jinx is there, but I needed to have an extra little moment like that for Vi. Again, like I can in retrospect understand that she could come to that point because there's enough information here to have her come to that conclusion that Jinx is a violent criminal, like she is. she's definitely a threat. I can understand that she would come to that conclusion. I just didn't see it happen. So that was one that I wanted an extra little moment. It could have been something else that Jinx did that had Jinx specifically, like from Jinx, that had some sort of impact, that had, someone getting hurt, someone innocent or something that like, she throws something out at her about like, I never thought my sister would orphan kids. Like I needed to see a moment like that in the season right beforehand. Because when those two face each other off in episode 3, I was like, I completely understand where Jinx is emotionally. I don't 100% understand where Vi is. Like I understand, but I'm not completely with her. So that was one thing I wanted, was just like a little bit extra so that I knew, because I at that moment I felt a little disconnected. I was like, this is a really major part of the story, and I was like, I felt like I was missing something to be completely understanding both characters.
Yeah, I definitely felt when there were fight scenes, I felt less invested in them. I don't know what it was about season 1, but every fight I cared about. And I also felt they were a little bit more grounded here and there. There was, you had the high stylization in season 1.
I feel like this is all ratcheted up.
Yeah. Well, so they had high stylization, but then they would also come in and you would just get body shots, and you would get someone slammed on the ground, and you would just be like, ooh, oh man, Vi's getting her ass kicked. And like, oh, she barely got out of that fight. And A, I was invested in the fight, and B, it had style, but it also had like impact. And I feel like this was mostly style on top of style. And I never really got that sense of impact that I got out of a lot of the fight scenes in the first season. I love season 1 fight scenes. I just loved them.
Missing
Anyway,
the branding, that's an interesting note about like, because that's kind of a directing critique.
Yeah, I think you're right. That would be a directing critique.
Like, well, yeah, like how much, like the fight between the rat guy and the other woman.
Yeah, and he's such a bad character. So here's
Like,
a
how
question
much
for
do
you
I need?
guys.
How much screen time do we need with that fight? Like, that is a directing decision. Like, okay,
Yeah, well, they went for style. I mean, they went, for the cool factor.
that's
And,
another
a buddy
time
of mine.
with the music and the fighting. I felt like, as I said before, they leaned into style quite a bit.
Right. I had a buddy who was an artist, and he had a mentor who was a pretty well-known artist in the comic book world. And James Bacon, you might know Tommy Castillo. He's passed away now, but he was a comic book artist. He was pretty big. Anyway, he told my friend, he's like, "You just like to draw cool stuff," and that was a criticism, because he's like, "You're just drawing it just to make it look cool." He's like, and that's why your stuff's not selling. He's like, there's got to be something else underneath it. There's got to be story. There's got to be character. And then the cool stuff is what will decorate. It's the accessory, right? Mm-hmm. When you just have cool stuff, just the accessory, then you're missing some substance under there. And I definitely felt like I was missing that. And the only reason I know it is because it was such a strong feeling in the first one. I was like addicted to the screen in season 1, from minute 1 to the final shot, addicted to the screen. And I just wasn't, I felt like I was like bumping into the screen and bumping back off and bumping in and bumping back off. I just couldn't quite get immersed in it the way I was before. And again, this could all go away. We don't know where this is going. And we still don't know if they've set it up properly. I think my issue is there is evidence that this is an inferior form of storytelling from season 1. But sequels are hard. Season 2s are difficult.
So the Titter Pig Rancher for $10, thank you very much, says the season's incomplete, sure, but keep in mind Act 1, Season 1 delivered a setup, yes, but it was also a self-contained and complete story, very much able to stand up to deep analysis by itself. It clicked. That's a good point. If you only watch the first 3 episodes of Season 1, you got a whole story.
Well, just to be fair, it's a little easier to set up a story than it is to pick up on a sequel. So, yeah, and this is a tough leave. This was a cataclysmic event they left off with. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that is you are asking a lot of writers to know how to solve that. I put mine out there, but we don't know if that was a good idea or not. That's just what I think is a good idea. It is harder to pick up after a cataclysmic event, I think, and set something up that quick. That's why I think the time skip was a little important, because it gives the writer a chance to set up their own story in season 2 rather than tying themselves to season 1 so thoroughly that you're stuck with this event for so long.